what's up, everybody? I am R.L. Hardy, and welcome once again to Whiskey Tango Alpha Foxtrot. Oh boy, let me just start off by saying that of all things that I expected to have on my 2025 bingo card, the United States of America, the land of the free, home of the brave, the beacon of light and leader of the free world, being on the human rights watch list was not one of them. Oh, you know what this means now, right? That we are now lumped in with countries like North Korea. You know, the ones that we fought to defend democracy against 70 some odd years ago. France wants the Statue of Liberty back. You know, in light of recent events, I can't say I blame them. Because France gave us Lady Liberty back in 1880 as a gift to symbolize the beacon of hope for a better life that the United States had become. And now, with Agent Orange very loudly siding with the worst possible people on this planet, all I can say is, l'intendant son gloire la vie. Bravo, France, and touche. So in the latest edition of Color Me Surprised, megachurch founder, trans vilifier, and Trump humper Robert Morris now faces more than 100 years in prison following the sexual assault of a 12-year-old girl. And wouldn't you know it, not a drag queen. And in related news, I recently was notified that Justin Eichhorn, the guy who put the term Trump derangement syndrome on the map, and who wanted to further classify anyone who didn't agree with Adolf Hitler as mentally ill, yeah, he was caught red-handed trying to hook up with a 16-year-old girl. And just to be clear, this was not an underage woman, okay? She is under 18. She is not an adult under the law. She is a child, which means that she cannot consent, because underage, by definition, means not an adult. And this guy thought he was gonna hook up with her. Oh yeah, he totally fell for the whole thing, the total Chris Hansen Dateline style, man. So, I really gotta ask. This goes out to all of the Protect the Children groups. So, what do you gotta say to all that? And you know, what say you to people like the 10-year-old brain cancer patient and U.S. citizen, might I add, who was detained on her way to an emergency medical checkup and deported to Mexico? Because let's be honest, it was never about protecting the children, was it? Because if it was, then this administration would not be gutting the Department of Education. If it was, then the #1 killer of children in this country would not be gun violence. And if it was ever about the sanctity of life, then millions of Americans would not be facing the very likely probability of losing their medical coverage. Our vets would not be fighting tooth and nail for the basic benefits they were promised for, you know, signing their lives away to become government fucking property. And on top of that, I recently read that the Navajo code talkers were removed from the U.S. military websites. And sure, it may have been also chalked up to another one of the auto-removal errors, but the fact that it happened at all, no matter how quickly they rectify it, it's nothing short of astounding. Now go figure that the Department of Government Efficiency or as I like to call it, douche, isn't that effective after all. And while we're on the subject of the man behind the curtain, it looks like the elongated muskrat has been in full-on tailspin panic over the massive plummet of Tesla stocks. Yeah, as it turns out, while some Americans seem to have forgotten that Nazis are bad, Europe, fortunately, has not. Meanwhile, his good buddy Mango Mussolini wants to make Tesla protests illegal, which goes against our First Amendment rights, and he wants to make Tesla vandalizations acts of terrorism. But yet the assault on our nation's capital on January 6th was a day of love. Seriously, how much of a loser do you have to be, Elon Musk, to declare just 3 weeks prior how empathy is the fundamental downfall of civilization, and yet, when faced with all of this backlash, you have the audacity to turn and ask, where have all the empathy gone? Cry harder, you silver spoon slobber Nazi fuck. We are in an abusive relationship with this administration right now. Exhibit A, they are gutting programs that have protected marginalized groups against discrimination for 60 years. And if you don't think that you're part of a marginalized group, looking at you, white women, then you better be a cis-het white Christian male. Oh, and rich! Because now it is perfectly acceptable to fire someone for the crime of being black, or queer, or a woman, or pregnant, or disabled, or old. Yeah, that one's got a sting, especially in light of all of the 401ks plummeting in recent weeks. How's that retirement looking? Employers can refuse to hire you based on personal prejudices. Do you understand that? And not only that, but they are no longer required to provide safe and reasonable working accommodations. Which means, like, say you're working with a bunch of heavy equipment or dangerous chemicals. They are not required to provide you access to things like safety glasses, or gloves, or fire extinguishers, or hazmat suits. And that also means that if you are ever injured at work and you need to take time off of work to recover, if you are lucky enough to have survived, it is perfectly acceptable to fire you. Okay? No workers' comp, no settlement, even if it was the company's fault. That's where we're at right now, guys. And oh, that's the other thing. You're no longer protected against sexual assault. And people wonder why we choose the bear. So, the Muskrats' band of barely pubescent frat boys claim to be slashing all kinds of waste in government spending, and yet is cutting funding to programs such as like cancer research and providing meals for children, or veterans benefits, or disability aid. I swear, it's like they're saying, oh, we're not abusive, we're just strict parents, while they withhold meals and throw them out in the cold as a means of punishment. They say that they're getting rid of spending waste while they're slashing the FAA, and we go on to have an onslaught of plane crashes for the first time in 16 years. Meanwhile, Cheeto Benito still golfing every weekend on your tax dollars. All the while doing nothing to help grocery prices become more affordable. He's declaring trade wars against our closest allies, while begging them to send us eggs. Even Republican constituents are getting pissed off because their representatives are refusing to hold town halls. Because, goodness forbid they be held accountable for, enabling this administration that is actively making American lives worse. And just a friendly reminder, guys, they, our representatives, our congressmen, our senators, even the president, they work for us, okay? They would not have a job if it wasn't for us. That's how democracy works. And for those of you dipshits who are activating like sleeper agents right now to recite the phrase, "We're not a democracy, we're a constitutional republic." What the fuck do you think a constitutional republic is? Do you go around saying other dumb shit like ice isn't cold, it's just frozen? I bet you can't tell an asterisk from an ampersand either, can you? Fuck! This is not normal, folks. This removing constituents from town halls because they answer uncomfortable questions is not normal. Okay, giving the president free rein to create his own military is not normal. Oh, okay, deporting people for exercising their right to free speech and protest is not normal. Now, I've had a lot of people come after me the past few days over my protest of the treatment of Mahmoud Khalil. I'm slurring, I'm very tired. And just bypassing all of the knee-jerk accusations of how I hate America or Jews, but one of the most common retorts I get is, well, he's not a U.S. citizen, so he's not afforded the same protections as we are. And first of all, he is a student of Columbia University, residing here on a legit visa, which means as a legal resident here in the United States, he is very much afforded the same rights, liberties, and protections as we are. Another response I get a lot is, well, he broke the rules, so he got deported, that's how it is. He broke no rules. He violated no laws. All he did was protest the war in Gaza. He protested. That is it. That is enshrined in our First Amendment right, the freedom to protest and the freedom of speech. All right, which means that the government cannot issue retribution for criticism, okay? And also, on that note, for those who are saying that, oh, what's happening to Khalil is perfectly legal, first of all, you're wrong. And secondly, even if it was perfectly legal, may I direct your attention back to the original Gestapo? Because with their Führer in charge, the Nazis were not violating any laws at the time. But you know who was? People like Miep Gies, who kept Anne Frank and her family hidden from the Green Police for over 2 years. And for those of you who are getting triggered by my comparing all these recent events to Hitler's personal witch hunts against political critics, why you mad, bro? Did I strike a nerve?